Time to update you on breaking news that the Prime Minister is to meet with the US President Donald Trump next week. The war in Ukraine likely to top that agenda. Meanwhile, here, Sir Keir Starmer said the UK is facing a generational challenge on national security when it comes to the war in Ukraine. And speaking this morning, Sir Keir admitted that more money needed to be spent on defence.
The position, as I see it, is this. We're facing a generational challenge when it comes to national security. Obviously, the immediate question is the future of Ukraine, and we must continue to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position, whatever happens next, and to make sure that if there is peace, and we all want peace, that it is lasting. I think there's a bigger piece here as well, which is that this isn't just about the front line in Ukraine, it's the front line of Europe and of the United Kingdom. It's about our national security, and I think that we need to do more. We need to step up in terms of our collective response in Europe, and by that I mean capability, by that I mean playing our full part when it comes to the defence of the sovereignty of Ukraine if there's a peace agreement, and of course when it comes to funding and training. So on all those fronts, I want the UK and all European allies to step up and for the UK to play a leading part in that.
When are you going to get to 2.5% of GDP on defence spending, given the threat to European security?
Well, we have to spend more on defence. That's the reality of the situation we find ourselves in. That's why we made a commitment to 2.5%. We are going through a strategic review of defence at the moment, which is looking at the challenges and the capability, and then we'll set out that path. But part of my message to our European allies is that we've all got to step up on both capability and on spending and funding. That includes the UK, which is why we've made that commitment to spend more.
Can the UK play a role as a bridge between the US and the EU?
I think what the US wants to achieve is lasting peace in Ukraine that aligns precisely with what we want in the United Kingdom, what Ukraine wants and what our European allies want. What we now need to do is to make sure that we work together on a plan that can get us to that point, and that's why it's really important, I think, to focus first on the immediate questions in Ukraine, but also to look at the wider picture, which is now we are in this generational point, really, where we do need to step up across Europe in terms of our capability, our funding and our commitment to defence, because this isn't just about Ukraine, it is about our own national security, and that's why my message will be that we've all got to step up across Europe.
And very briefly, how high are the stakes at this summit?
Well, it's very important now, after nearly 3 years now of this dreadful conflict, to try to move forward. Of course, we could have a resolution tomorrow if Russia, the aggressor, pulled back. But, you know, unless and until we get a peace agreement, we must ensure Ukraine's in the strongest possible position. We don't know what's going to happen next. And we need to have realistic and credible answers to how any ceasefire, how any peace agreement will be lasting, just and enduring, because the last thing I want to see is a pause in the fighting that simply gives Putin the chance to come again, which is why it's very important that we have these discussions. And I think it's very important for the UK to be talking, obviously, with our European allies, as we do the whole time, and to the US. We've got a special relationship. But I do think there's a huge amount of overlay in terms of what we're trying to achieve, which is that lasting peace and dealing with the threat that is there from Russia.